Tell me your name.
Avery Braunecker.
Avery, tell me a little about yourself.
So I graduated back in 2016 from Effingham High School. I was I was a swimmer. No longer doing that anymore. Just finished up my 4 years at U of L swimming. Still have one more semester. I will graduate in December with a communications degree, a minor in creative writing and psychology. And yeah, this is a little interview about me.
We're talking with Avery today. So, Avery, tell me about your swimming in high school.
So swimming in high school around here was something that was not very common. It was a little bit difficult. It made me give up a lot of, it allowed me, I guess, I'm trying to make it positive, allowed me to give up a lot of my weekend time. I had great friends that understood what my passion was and where I wanted to go and what I wanted to be doing. But it was definitely challenging, but it also paid off. It got me into the school of my dreams. It made me a bunch of lifelong friends, and I got to see so many places that otherwise would not have been able to see, and I'm grateful for it, and I'm grateful that it made me who I am.
So what exactly were you as a swimmer?
I was a 50 freestyler, a 100 freestyler, and a 100 breaststroker. So I was definitely a sprinter. Never did anything that was long because it was boring to me. And also my body just couldn't handle it. My body could barely handle the distances that I did. My freshman year at high school state, I got second in both my events, the 50 and the 100 freestyle. My sophomore year, I got second and third. My junior year, I won both events, and my senior year, I got second in both events.
Tell me about managing track in high school as well, and you were a swimmer.
So track in high school was, for me, very fun because it was during my off-season swimming. If you are a swimmer, if you know anything about swimming, there is no off-season. So that was my time where I would only swim 2, maybe 3 times a week for an hour, but the majority of my practicing was track. It was always so fun to be with a team because my main sport didn't allow that. And getting to know girls and getting to be able to connect and have some sort of team memories from high school.
What was your favorite memory from your high school experience in swimming?
I would have to say probably it's both my favorite and one of the harder parts was winning my junior year, both my events. For me, it was something that I had this goal about since freshman year with swimming in just Illinois, the only place in the country. There are no divisions, so there's no AA, AAA, single A. It's all just one. So there was little bitty me going against all of these big Chicago girls, and showing up to the first year, my first state. I can remember warm up starting, and it sounded like guns were going off because there were a billion people jumping in this 6-lane pool all at once trying to get a little bit of pool time. And from that moment on, my goal was to win it. I knew many great names that came from winning high school state, especially in Illinois, and I wanted to be one of those great names. When I won my junior year, having the support of this town and of so many of my peers and classmates and all my friends and all my family was awesome. But after I got back, I can remember that next week being like, so now what? I think that's something that kind of made me hungry again, but at the same time really was a rut that I had to figure my way out of, because after accomplishing your biggest goal, you don't really know what happens next. So
why did you become interested in swimming?
My mom was a swimmer back whenever she was in high school and actually went to college for it. She met my dad, and the rest is history after that. But so she was the summer coach for the team here in Effingham, and my 2 older brothers swam, so I wouldn't get overheated, my mom would throw me in the water as a little tiny person and have me just swim at 25 just so that I would cool off a little bit, since I was on the pool deck for like 3 hours every morning. After that, I just started loving it. By the time I was in 2nd or 3rd grade, I was swimming all year round and racing my older brother Cole. He would do 100, which is 4 laps, and I would do a 75, which is 3, and I would really try to beat him. And I started realizing that, you know, I did have actually some talent rather than just work ethic, and it started carrying me to further experiences and higher meets and better competition, and it really became just my love and passion, and it became my everything for a while.
That's impressive about Cole. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Talk about, so in high school, you were telling me before the interview here that a lot of schools were looking at you besides Louisville. Who were they?
So we'll go with just my 5 that I had decided to take an official visit with. I was very grateful and thankful and fortunate to have so many schools reach out. Going through my recruiting process, to me, was one of my favorite memories also from high school. It was really hard and tested me a lot as a person because I really hate saying no to people. So having to say no to people was really hard. I cried so many times. And I would talk to athletes and they'd be like, it's not personal. Like, it's just, you're just not going there. And I'm like, but I'm letting it down. And, but my 5 that I had chosen were, to go on official visits were U of L, so Louisville, Mizzou, UK, University of Kentucky, UF, University of Florida, and then I had kind of scheduled an official visit for Arizona, but it was canceled very early on. Just knew I didn't want to go that far.
What did it stick out so much for you that you chose that school?
To me, it was definitely the atmosphere of the girls. I actually, my mom went with me on a junior day to the University of Louisville, and I was adamant on the fact that I wasn't going to go there. I didn't want to be another D1 athlete from Effingham that went to U of L. And so I went there, and really kind of reluctantly, I had gone to IU right beforehand on a junior day, and I had been on IU's campus for years, and really thought that that was one of the places that would end up being one of my top choices, and realized very quickly in the process that it just was not my fit. Went and met the girls and the team, and immediately clicked with them, and then started noticing that things that I didn't realize I wanted in a school, I found at U of L. There was like an athletic strip, there still is, this whole athletic row where all of us are in a row besides basketball and volleyball, which is at the KFCM Center downtown. Loved the fact that it was a city setting, but at the same time I could go 20 minutes and be in the country. And it was just so many little things that I didn't realize that I wanted, that everywhere I went after that, I kept thinking and relating it back to how does it compare to how U of L made me feel.
So in high school, talk about some of the girls that notable to you that you competed against.
So in high school, I would say that the most notable one for me was Olivia Smaliga. I swam against her my freshman year. She won the events that I swam at high school state, and she has gone on to become an Olympian. She's this beautiful mermaid that I have always been obsessed with, and she's been really cool to watch and see her grow and all of that. But a lot of the people that I swam against in high school would be not as commonly known. So
talk about at the college days, joining a team in Chicago. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so when I got to a certain point, whenever you turn 12, that is the youngest age you can be able to go to and qualify for nationals, for YMCA nationals. So I qualified for YMCA nationals as a 12-year-old, and from there we kind of realized that it might be a good idea for me to start expanding my horizons. I joined USA Swimming. I initially joined a team just in Springfield, and that team was bought by a team in Chicago. So I was, for the final 2 years, on the Academy Bullets. I would spend my summers and winter breaks and every weekend in either Springfield or Chicago with host families and friends, and It was different, but it also really helped me grow up very quickly, become very independent. Traveling by myself to all the meets because I wasn't traveling with the team as well made me really appreciate the moments that I got to be with the team. But it's definitely an experience I would never trade, and wouldn't. Yeah, I just loved it thinking back on it.
All right, Avery. Next category I want to hit on is, obviously we're talking about college now. Favorite places to swim in college?
This one took me a while. You asked me it beforehand. Very good question. I don't think that many people have asked me that. By far, one of my favorite memories and favorite places to swim was Omaha, Nebraska for Olympic trials back in 2016. I do have my trials cut for next year if I would like to go. Unsure on if I will be doing that or not. Definitely just taking a moment for myself. But the atmosphere there, it's actually not a pool. It's in a basketball arena, and the arena is filled, and they build a pool on top of the basketball court. That was just one of the coolest experiences, seeing all those people and being able to say that I swam there and was part of that group. But another one would be IUPUI, the natatorium down in Indianapolis, because that has been someplace I grew up swimming at since it is so close. And it was also where my first NCAAs was held, and so that really is something I treasure. And then my final one would have to be the pool in Greensboro, North Carolina, where ACCs are held. That I'm not sure if it's the pool that makes it so great, or if it's just the company. It's the first time all season that it's just the girls group, and unlike NCAAs, the big dance, you don't have just a select few that have made it. It's not just 6 to 8 girls. It's a whole group of women, and that was where most of my memories were made as a swimmer, and especially in my college career.
What does it mean to you to be a local girl from this area, Effingham County, and being able to participate in swimming from all over the areas?
I guess it's just an honor. I've loved being able to come back and kind of give back a little bit to the swim team that's currently here, and hearing these swimmers that are now going on and swimming at different colleges and different levels that were tiny whenever I was on the team, so it's like kind of crazy. But just hearing their stories and hearing that I've been able to kind of pave a way of swimming in college, I guess. I don't want to sound cocky, but I know that was not something that was super common around here, and knowing that there are a handful of people that are seniors or are previously graduating and graduated in the past couple of years that have gone on to swim in college, it just makes me really happy and excited.
Tell me about, you were telling me you met Michael Phelps, Katie Ledecky, and Ryan Lochte. Out of all those 3 people, I mean, what was that experience like?
So I am a firm believer. My mom taught me this very young, whenever I started going to Grand Prix meets, which are where all the Olympians are, but they're just regular meets. I was so scared and so like starstruck by all these people walking around. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, that's Ryan Lochte, and he's literally sitting next to me, and I'm just like, hey. And I'm like this 13-year-old girl that's obsessed with him. And then obviously meeting Katie Ledecky, and just, she's very cool, she's exactly what she looks like and acts like in all of her interviews. And I mean, like, I don't want to say I know any of these people very personally, but just from my interactions that I've had, by far one of the coolest experiences was meeting and being able to be in the same area and vicinity as Michael Phelps. And obviously, like I had said, that I had this mindset from my mom teaching me that I earned my place at those meets where those people were, and they were all just people there to swim as well. They were there to go down and back, and that's all that all of us were there for. So that was kind of the mentality that I got. But when I was in close proximity with Michael Phelps. I was with one of my teammates. It was at Olympic trials, and we had just gone up to get our credentials. You have to have credentials. There's security everywhere, so that there aren't random fans running onto the pool deck. So you go up and you get your badge and all of this stuff and all of your equipment. And we're coming back down, and they said, hold the elevator. And I'm like, bro, I gotta go warm up. And there's screaming fans, and I'm like, this is kind of cool. And all of a sudden, Michael Phelps and Ryan Lochte hop on our elevator, and it's myself, my teammate, Ryan, and Michael. And my teammate is like pooping herself. She's like, and I'm like, Kyla, shh. And one of the security guys had asked about the fact that they, what is it like having so many screaming fans? And I, just being myself, made some sly comment about no one knows them, and made them both laugh. So I think that that's one of my greatest swimming accomplishments, is making Ryan and Michael laugh in the same time by downplaying their famousness.
Did Michael say much when you talked to him?
Not really. He knows that who he is.
Yeah.
He knows what people think of and what people expect whenever they see him, but he is really there to do a job. That was his job, that was his life, and now he gets to enjoy his retirement and family. And but he was always very open to answering questions and pictures and stuff like that, but it was never very in depth or loose, because that was like I said, he was on a work trip.
Tell me about this hernia troubles you had in college.
Yeah, so actually this happened right before college. This was my junior year of high school, and I, during track season, I just ran my first 400, and we were doing intervals, and I can remember coming around after my first 400 and falling off the track and really feeling like I was going to throw up. And so they took me, and I had always had this lump in my leg, and since 7th grade, and they always said it was shin splints. They said, all right. I'm like, this is a weird shin splint. And but so I went, and they did an ultrasound and discovered that I had a hernia in my leg, and which was super uncommon, not only for a girl to have a hernia, but a hernia in your leg. So I had to go to a specialist over in Indianapolis and get surgery. That was super hard, because it was also around the time that I was being recruited by so many schools. I was going on these junior days, and by the end of the day I couldn't even walk. I was getting sick to my stomach because of the pain that was being caused through my leg. And what was happening was that anytime I would walk for a long distance or run, my muscle would go through the hernia, and then the hernia, as time would go on, would start to close from not being worked, but my muscle was staying out, and so it was actually pinching. And I, if I had waited much longer, I probably would have lost the muscles in my leg. That was something I was really terrified to talk about with any coaches. I was afraid that if they knew I was going to have surgery, or if they knew I was going to be out of the water for a little while, that they would have lost faith in me. So I hid it for the longest period of time until I had surgery, and then I finally told the coaches that I was still in contact with what was going on. They were fantastic, and U of L was great all 4 of my years. We monitored my health and my conditions, and while that wasn't really a problem that I ran into in college, it was something that they were always cautious of. But knowing that my junior year I had to relearn how to walk with my right leg and couldn't drive, was in a boot, and all of this stuff, and I still have the boot. My brother uses it whenever his heel hurts. I'm like, that was literally used to bring me back to life and give me a leg again. But he uses it because he's hot or something, because it's a cryo cuff, so it's like this giant ice pack. And I have a lot of fond memories from that, because so many people stepped up to help me. I mean, like I said, I couldn't drive anywhere, so my friends would have to come get me. My friends would change my water, so it was constantly cold and all of this stuff. But it was definitely a struggle, especially going through the college recruiting aspect, but it also, I think, made my connection with the coaches better.
So, Avery, if you were not swimming, what would you have done?
This made me laugh earlier. I've never thought about it because it's been my life. It was my life for like 21 years, and I'm 22. But I am for sure. And I don't know. I probably would have done something like way less physical, like horseback riding, or
Really?
something that I enjoy. I definitely would have still been active. I've never not been an active person, but something that was way less like terrible on me.
What advice would you give to a young beginner swimmer?
I would say just stick with your passion. Also listening to your coaches. Sometimes it's really hard to do that because you see so many people and you have so many people telling you different things. For some strokes, it's the only stroke that matters is your own, which is really hard because you're constantly comparing yourself in swimming. There is so much comparison of not only what does your stroke look like, what does your breathing pattern look like, what does your underwater look like, are you flexible enough, do you eat enough, are you strong enough, do you look good enough? I mean, we're half naked most of the time. So there's so much comparison that happens with swimming, and I think that just really focusing on yourself and celebrating others is something that I would advise anyone to do in any sport, but especially swimming.
Final question regarding to swimming. Who would be your biggest role model professionally?
So if I had to give one person, growing up, it would be Natalie Coughlin. She was this amazing, she still is this amazing woman. I still follow her on everything. And she was this amazing swimmer as well. And she really had this great mindset and great way of holding herself. But if I had to say like role models just growing up for swimming, it would have to be a mixture of everyone that helped me along the way. From my parents to the host families to teammates to people that, you know, gave me rides and just sent me little messages, kept my head from spiraling as I was getting ready to go behind the blocks, and just making sure I was smiling. It's not one person, it's a whole collective person.
I'm sure your family traveled to a lot of your meets and everything like that. I'm sure that was pretty cool for you.
Yes.
All right, Avery, now that we touched on the swimming part that you mentioned earlier, you wanted to talk about this, and I wanted to hit on this big time. Talk about having your brother Gavin Braunecker. He's a pitcher now at Bellarmine University in Kentucky. Him being only 10 minutes away from you, what does that mean to you?
It's honestly like my favorite thing ever. Having him near me and being able to come over. I mean, sometimes I think he's just using me to do his laundry, but or eat my food. But really having like date nights, and we have now begun to watch a movie or a TV show together, and just having like these little things that I can look forward to. I've grown a family down in Louisville, but it's completely different than having an actual family member with you. We became so close. He honestly became one of my best friends this past summer. He has taught me so much, and I'm so proud of him. Hearing all that he's been able to do already, and all the gains that he's already made at Bellarmine, and knowing that there's only going to be more in the future. The friends he's made, all of the stuff that he's done with pitching. I mean, I may not understand it all, but the fact that he comes to me with this smile on his face and he tells me about his day is something that I haven't been able to have in so long. He has introduced me to people. He has made me feel loved. He has been by my side. He's driven me crazy. I mean, who doesn't? But he's everything. I gotta say, like, this is the first time I've driven home with someone that's not my elephant, Ellie. And it was the greatest thing, just being able to listen to music with him. We get along so well. We have so many similar interests, and I am so excited to have him there. I'm excited the fact that he is now added to the list of names of people from around here that have gone and taken over Kentucky. I mean, you have all the people before me, and you have obviously Gavin down there now, but I am in awe of him always.
Absolutely. So, since you mentioned local athletes, I wanted to talk about Zach Lee, pitching in Kentucky now, Effingham High School grad. What does it mean to you to have not just Gavin, but Zach in Kentucky at Kentucky University, and you're able to connect with him now too?
Yes. So I got the pleasure of meeting Zach this summer and getting to know him a little bit better. He is at my rival school, so I will never forgive him for that. But no, I honestly, I have so much pride and appreciation and honest love for him, and I hope that he does amazing things. Seeing what UK has put out about his summer league this past summer, knowing that I was able to be a part of that even just a little bit, and knowing where it's taking him, he has so many goals, and I admire him for never letting anything stand in the way of those. And I will always be cheering for him, and not only him, but one thing that meeting him and getting to know his story a little bit better taught me was just, for me, I was so consumed in my own athletics for so long that now that I've graduated, I didn't really pay attention to those that were coming after me. Obviously, I knew the legacies of what came before me, but just seeing, now wanting to go to these baseball games of kids that I don't really even know, or keeping up and seeing how people that are in college right now are doing, and seeing and figuring out what their goals are and wanting them to conquer them. That was something that I gained a lot this summer, and I will definitely be paying more attention to as I go, is supporting the local kids around here that are either young with these big giant goals or in college, and supporting them and making sure that they know that, if you ever need anything, it gets hard. Athletes, life is busy and crazy.
Yes.
But that they have another person in their corner.
So, his brother Jackson has really come on strong as a pitcher too. I know people have been talking about Zach, but Jackson's going to be a great pitcher as well, and he's really come on strong as a senior pitcher. So, of course, we have a lot of athletes in Surrey that are striving and succeeding super well. So, now let's hit on one other question here. So, Avery, in the final category that we're going to hit on is, tell me about the mental parts to how your mindset has made you into the person you are today.
So mentality has been something that not only I have been taught a lot of in the past 4 years. That's a big part of U of L swimming, but it's something that I've dealt with for as long as I can remember. Obviously, as an athlete, especially one that spends most of their time underwater staring at a black line, you have to be pretty mentally tough. That was something, and is something that sometimes I still struggle with, and that's one of the reasons why I told you that I did want to bring this up, because I know I'm not alone in this. So I can remember a few points in my college career that was really tested. So my freshman year, I was a freshman and cried at everything because everything was so hard, and like you're not getting your results and all of that kind of stuff. And then my sophomore year, I got better. My junior year, I told myself that I wasn't going to cry. Not a single time that entire year. It didn't matter what had happened, what was thrown my way, I was going to be a soldier, because to me that was something that I thought I needed to be for my swimming to get to where it needed to go. I told my main coach that if he ever saw me shed a tear about anything, didn't matter what it was, I could break my arm if I shed a tear. I owed him 100 pull-ups and 100 push-ups. And he held me to it. I almost shed a tear once, and he was like, I'm going to tell you to get on the ground right now. And I was like, I'm not going to do it. And So I became this soldier, and I had the best swimming career, or my career that year, my junior year. While I did not make NCAAs, all of my times were the fastest they had been ever. NCAAs that year was just extremely fast. I did end up I went to NCAAs for the 3 of the 4 years that NCAAs happened while I was in college, either as a relay alternate or individually. And I had, like I said, the best year of my swimming career, all best times, which is not something that many people get to say that they do all in 1 year. And by the end of it, I was being praised for how I was holding myself. All my friends at that point, a lot of them were foreign, so they went back home for the summer. And it was then, as they started to leave, that I realized that I had built myself these high walls to the point where I didn't really feel anything. So it wasn't that I just wasn't feeling sad, it was that I was numbing everything. As my friends started to come back, I realized that them coming back was not making me happy. Being home wasn't really making me happy. And I decided going into my senior year that was me feeling and suppressing my emotions and everything for over a year. When it finally got to the time where we had our evaluation, I was honest for the first time about how I was feeling. And I did end up going on medication for depression and anxiety, which has led into a whole realm of story that has made me who I am today. I am coming up on my 1 year of celebration of my own life on October 20th. And that's been a battle, not one that I was always able to talk about and be so open and honest about, but it's something that I'm really working on. I think that's the biggest thing that you can be, is honest about what you're feeling. And though it may feel like you are this dirty, disgusting, sad creature out in the wilderness, and everyone else's life this perfect thing that you can't mess up, it's something that you have to start taking steps towards. And I think that's who I am today, is the girl that takes steps. So.
What advice, or should I should say happy, why are you so happy about opening about your mindset?
I'm happy about it because it's a conversation, and I don't think that we have enough of those. I'm happy that I was given this ability to completely have a different mindset after this past year. And the fact that, to me, it's, one step at a time, one day at a time. And I've talked about it enough now. I've talked about it with people that are also struggling, with people that are struggling not only with depression and anxiety, but eating disorders and self-harm, and I've had it all. And knowing that I can help someone, I think that's the thing that, I never knew how much it meant to feel appreciated and to help someone until that first person told me that what I was saying was something that they were feeling and that they needed to hear. Because for so long I let myself believe and truly believe that I was alone in the way I was feeling, and the fact that, what I was feeling was wrong and bad, because so many people don't want to talk about it, and so many people don't want to, listen to it, and no one wants to be around someone that's sad all the time or highly anxious. And being able to actually start opening up and having a conversation, and now realizing that more conversations are had, and I don't think it's because of me, but I like to think that I may have been a small drop in the conversation puddle, is really relieving, because if I can help someone else from getting to the point where I was a year ago today, that is a win for me in every book.
Wow, that's really deep and awesome. Wow, that's awesome. So, what advice would you give to people about depression, anxiety, and how to cope with it?
So it's different for everyone, for sure. The first step is just opening up to someone that is you're really close with, that won't give you any judgment. But after that, you have to start living for yourself. And sometimes there will be times where it will feel like you aren't living for yourself, but you're living for everyone that you love. And that will also be okay. I know that there's that saying that is so common, that it's okay to not be okay, but it really is true. It's okay to reach out for help. It's okay to feel like, that you have to do this alone, but you really don't have to. You aren't alone in how you're feeling. Your experience may be unique from anyone else's, but I can promise you that there's someone else feeling like they're staring into a glass house that's full of white and clean, and you're just outside muddy and wet in the rain, and you can knock. And I know you can knock, but I know it's hard. Mm-hmm. But they will drape a towel around you, they will bring you in, and they will make sure you're okay. You just have to let them.
All right, Avery, so we're down to the last two questions. Category number 1. So, I asked your mom if it was okay to talk with you and interview you. What was your reaction towards when she told you that I wanted to talk with you?
Not gonna lie, I was really surprised. I felt like this has been my first interview in maybe 3, maybe 4 years, since I kind of left, left Effingham. So hearing that you had interest in talking with me, one, I was surprised because I am no longer an athlete. So the fact that I'm being talked to by someone so involved in sports after the fact that I have retired was surprising to me. But also just because swimming isn't something that gets a lot of publicity. I think that was something that was really cool and one of the reasons why I wanted to. But at the same time, I did take a few days. She told me, and I took a few days. I have been going and dealing with a few things in my life, and I just wanted to make sure that this was something that would help me as well as help others. And when I finally came down to it, I realized that this was something that I felt like I needed, as well as anyone that's in a less popular sport, or anyone dealing with depression and anxiety, or anyone dealing with the pandemic and recruiting and being nervous about that. I've been through all of those things, and I feel like I can connect, and I hope that someone watching this also feels like they connected with any of the words I said, even if it was just like, hey. But I was excited whenever we first started talking and getting this figured out, and the fact that I was able to come home and we were able to do it this weekend was really relieving, I guess, and really exciting. It gave me something to look forward to.
When you messaged me on Instagram and we kind of talked back and forth and trying to get this figured out as far as when we can do this, when you said you were coming home, that couldn't have been a perfect time, because we're able to share your story and hear what comes from your mindset and how you cope with certain things. Mm-hmm. So, final question I have for you, Avery, is in closing, is there something that you want to talk about that we didn't mention, or anything you want to tell people that, okay, I need to just get this out and let people know?
I would say probably not really, but just like some thank yous. Obviously, thank you to you for doing this and for giving me a chance on this girl that is 22 years old, removed from swimming, and with a sport that no one knows about really, and giving me a chance to really share my side of the story. That was something that I don't think that you realized that I needed as much as I did, and I don't even know if I realized I needed as much as I did. But also thank you to my family for always supporting me and bringing me so much love, and thank you to all my friends and everyone that has reached out and followed me through my 4 years of swimming, and now as I try to get a big girl job and step into the real world.
This is Avery Braunecker, 2016 Effingham High School grad, swimming star, I should say. I'm glad I was able to share her story and let people know about what she's gone through with swimming, who she's met, some big things about her. I'm going to attach a photo or two after this, and then I will use this photo, one of the photos that I took, and I will use that for the YouTube picture. Avery, I really enjoyed hearing your story. Thank you for talking with me today.
Thank you for having me.